Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time you'll be watching this session. Welcome to the newspaper review for the 9th of January 2024. I am Ayo, I will be reviewing with you today. But before we commence into the headlines we have for you today, let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the newspaper review for the 9th of January 2024. Like I said earlier, my name is Ayo and I'll be reviewing with you today. Very quickly, let's go into our headlines and the news in details. We'll be picking it from The Punch this morning, and the headline says, Court stops Emefiele's rearrest. EFCC rejects 100 million naira fine. Let's go into the news in details. The Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja has declared the prolonged detention of the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, without trial as a flagrant violation of his fundamental rights. The court slammed a total of 100 million fine against the federal government and the Economic Financial Crime Commission and banned them from rearresting or detaining the ex-CBN afresh without a valid court order. But the EFCC expressed its dissatisfaction with judgment, vowing to go on appeal. The judgment was given in a fundamental human rights suit filed by the former CBN governor following his prolonged detention into the custody of the Department of State Services. Now, considering the court asking EFCC to pay a fine of 100 million naira to somebody whose crime is so obvious, whose crime is so evident, it's so evident that he committed this crime, and they are requesting for that sum of money from the pocket of the federal government and EFCC to be paid into the purse of a man that committed an offense. That is a big deal. This is the same person that has operated 593 illegal US, illegal UK, and China accounts. These accounts are fully funded. They have money in them. And yet they are asking the EFCC to pay a fine of 100 million naira into this man's pocket. I beg, for what exactly? For the mental stress, or are they indirectly encouraging the crime that this man has committed? And at least there should be a reason why he shouldn't be rearrested. And in this case, they are saying that the EFCC do not have an order from the court to go ahead to arrest him. So why? I don't understand. Like it was stated that they had the go ahead of the court before arresting this man. He was in detention for a particular time before the EFCC took up the case, and there was a go ahead. So why is the court changing their thoughts now? Why are they making this thing look like a big deal? And also, why would they be asking EFCC to pay a sum of 100 million naira to Emefiele for doing their job? Like, I don't understand. They are doing their job. They are carrying out the findings. This is a man that has committed an offense. Or is this an attempt to sweep this case over under the carpet, like it has been a usual thing? But on this matter, virtually everyone is anticipating the aftermath of Emefiele. So this is not something that, like, requesting for that sum of money from EFCC and the federal government is equivalent to the court in support of whatever is coming from Emefiele. I don't know. Maybe the court also has something to do with Emefiele. Perhaps they are supporting his action. But on my own part, I love EFCC's new approach to this issue. At least they have summoned senior officials of the affected entities, and they have mandated that they need the document of all exchange transaction over the last 9 years. Hopefully, they are going to get these documents. At least, if it has not been swept under the carpet, they should be able to access this document so they can get enough evidence for their action. So let's go into the next headline. We'll be picking the next headline from Vanguard, which says, Obi slams FG over lavish borrowing. Obi slams FG over lavish borrowing and spending. He says debt burden will soon wreck the economy. Let's go into the news and details. Labour Party presidential candidate during the February 24, 25th, 2023 general elections, Peter Obi has kicked against what he described as federal government disturbing pattern of huge borrowing and profligate spending on non-essential procurement, warning that such pattern will soon wreck the economy. The former Anambra State governor also condemned federal government's securitization of ways and means borrowing from the CBN, which he said is against the law, and Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Act, which stipulates the limit of FG's borrowing from the CBN not to exceed 5% of the previous year's revenue. In a statement yesterday titled Debt and Waste as Economic Policy, Obi said that the current trend of FG's lavish spending, backed only by equally lavish borrowing, is unsustainable and would wreck the economy in due course. He said, what is emerging is a disturbing pattern of huge borrowing and profligate spending on non-essential procurement, which are being termed capital expenditure and are being funded with an accumulation of debt. For instance, a good number of these so-called capital expenditure items as contained in the 2024 budget are more procurement and luxury budgets. This trend of lavish spending backed only by equally lavish borrowing is unsustainable and would wreck the economy in due course. It needs to be altered. Unless this trend is altered, the nation runs the greater risk of running into more turbulent economic waters in the near future. This is to add my concerned voice to those of many other troubled Nigerians. He further said, this is the time when we need to go beyond politics and partisan grandstanding to address the fundamental issues of rational economic management. I am afraid that the current administration is not paying sufficient attention to issues of rational economic management. Instead, an unsustainable level of debt is being piled upon the economy, thereby further burdening our already distressed populace who are bearing the burden of harsh economic policies not backed by compassionate cautioning policies. I believe this is not coming from Peter Obi because he lost the election last year, or probably because he did not win the election. Now, I believe this is coming from a concerned Nigerian because he is not the only one that is being affected by this. Now, my own is that no country can thrive under borrowing. Just last week, Obasanjo said something, and I quote, he said, the future generation will pay off the debt by the debt that Nigerians has at hand. And I was really concerned because my question has always been that why should I vomit what I did not eat? I mean, you do not expect me to eat eba and vomit rice. That is impossible. I'm only going to vomit what I have eaten. Now, a generation that did not know when borrowing started, and you expect such generations to pay the debt of the country. Now, this is not even to think that they are looking for ways to curb the level at which borrowing is going in this country. they are still borrowing money. They kept on borrowing money. Just yesterday we saw that they spent over 500 billion naira on things that are not worth it, giving 100 million naira to ministers, 135 million naira to a senator. Like, if why can't they just cut down those costs? Like, I believe for a country that wants to progress, there should be strategic plans that they have in store for the growth of the country. And even as human, borrowing, for instance, if you borrow a billion naira now to as a capital for a business, and you don't have any money to add to that 1 million naira, by the time you start making money out of that business, there's tendency that a huge amount of money from that business is going to go back into paying back the money you have borrowed. So why can't they just cut down the costs on all these things that they are spending on? Spending millions, billions of naira on palliative. Do they have to go to that extent? Do they have to do all of those things? Why can't they just, okay, for this year, we are not going to do this and this. We are not going to be spending unnecessarily on this and this. So we can pay off part of the debt that is on ground. Why not let's do this and this, so we can create a opportunity for more funds to come into the country's purse, or they can actually invest that money in businesses. Like, they have like, I believe the future of this country is agriculture. Why not invest that money that they are giving to each minister, on 100 million naira to each minister? That's for one minister, and the number of ministers that we have in this country. Multiply it by the number of ministers. Invest that money in agriculture. Invest it. In the next 5 years, this money is coming back to the country. Okay, there was a time that they want us to be eating rice from the rice produced in Nigeria. Nigerians concord to it, even though there are still some persons that have stronger, they refuse to eat Nigerian made rice or the Nigerian produced rice. They still want to take their foreign rice. But to some extent, that help to promote the production of rice in this country. So instead of spending those amount of money, why not invest it in something? In the next 5 years, all of us will suffer and we'll still come back. We'll still come back to repeat. So instead of spending on unnecessary, so to me, I feel that Peter Obi was right. So by the time the country ought to be thinking about moving forward, they are held down by trailer load of debt. By the time, and the time we are supposed to spend on thinking of how we are going to progress, we are held down by, we have so amount of money on ground that needs to be paid. And this debt has been on not for 5 years, not for 10 years, not even for 15 years. And it is so sad that the federal government are not opening up to their strategic plan for how this debt will be cleared. The only thing we hear is that they keep on getting money, getting funds from CBN, borrowing money from different sources to sponsor projects that are not even their business. So I believe this country will get better if we learn to cut down costs and if we mind our business. So on to the next one, still from Vanguard. 585 million grafts. Suspended Beta Edu denied access to Tinubu. Suspended Beta Edu denied access to Tinubu. So let's go into the news in detail so you can get the gist. 585 million grafts suspended, Beta Edu denied access to Tinubu. A few hours after she was suspended by President Bola Tinubu over the 585 million scandal yesterday, embattled Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Minister Dr. Beta Edu was not allowed to see the president at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Nigerian leader had earlier yesterday suspended Edu from office with immediate effect and directed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to conduct a thorough investigation into all aspects of the financial transaction involving the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. She was accused of financial infractions bordering on the approval of payments of about 585 million into private accounts of a civil servant who is said to be the accountant in charge of grants for vulnerable Nigerians in Akwa Ibom and other states. The EFCC summoned Edu for interrogation and investigation in connection with the scandal today. The suspension, according to the statement issued by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajurin Galile, is in line with President Tinubu's avowed commitment to uphold the highest standard of integrity, transparency, and accountability in the management of the common wealth of Nigerians. The statement read, the suspended minister is hereby directed to hand over the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, and she's further directed by the president to fully cooperate with the investigating authorities as they conduct their investigation. Furthermore, the president has tasked a panel headed by the coordinating minister of the economic and minister of finance to, among other functions, conduct a comprehensive diagnostic on the financial architecture and framework of the social investment programs with a view to conclusively reforming the relevant institutions and programs in a determined bid to eliminate all institutional frities for the exclusive benefit of disadvantaged households and win back lost public confidence in the initiative. Wow. I am really impressed, at least to even think that this is a minister under the administration of Tinubu. At some point, everybody were like, the over 40 ministers appointed by Tinubu were people that he trusted. He removed some persons, and we were all feeling like it was because those people were from Buhari's administration. But at least now it is coming from the people he appointed. And to even think that this is a woman that she has not even stayed in office for 6 months. Okay. She's she's the first minister. She broke a record. She broke a record. The first minister to be in seat for less than 6 months. And to even think that it is this same office that we are still looking into Shadia's 4.8 billion naira fraud, and this is coming from our successor again. Like that means there's something about this office that we need to know. And also, it is a thing of concern that as a minister holding such a sensitive position, you would want to transfer, you want to make a deposit of that amount of money into a personal fund. Money will not be your own, money that is not coming from your personal pocket. It is not something that you want to give out to this person personally. This is coming from a body that everybody will be aware of this. You are now making a transfer of such amount of money into a personal fund, regardless of the evidence you have, or regardless of the proofs that you have, or the justification you have for doing this. It is not done anyway. Since it is not your personal fund, you cannot make such transfer of money into a personal account of somebody, all in the name of the person is in charge of vulnerable Nigeria. It is even the way they target for me, is in charge of taking care of vulnerable Nigerians. So this brings me to the end of the newspaper review for the 9th of January 2023. I hope you get one or two lessons from this session. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Do have a great day. Also, I want you to know that we have an application, an online mall where you can get unlimited access to any kind of electrical appliances you want to buy. You can just go to remy.com.global to access our online mall. You can apply as a buyer. You can also apply as a seller. We have a lot of things awaiting you in our online mall, and trust me, delivery comes, your goods get delivered to you in just 3 working days. That's very swift, right? Also, I would like that you follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook and on Instagram. You can check us out, Prime Media TV. Also, you can get unlimited access to all of our broadcasts at on our website, which is enginespeak.com. Also, to get unlimited access, back-to-back access, you can download our application on Play Store. Subscribe to the application to get unlimited access to every of our broadcasts. So for now, do have a great day. Thank you for staying with us.